Hello, welcome to the Battling Barrow. My name's Kev and we're going to be doing another crafty video. This one again is in collab with RM Projects UK, mainly because the other day he popped around and he dropped me off this. So, well, is this of any use to you? I was like, sure, what is it? And what it is, it's a micro CPU here, with a rigged up with a LED sort of ring light on, and this can be controlled via your phone. So I was like, whoa, that's very interesting, because in the autumn I want to start my D&D campaign. And why in the autumn? Because well, it's summer here in Britain and we want to enjoy the nice British summer weather. So I'm going to wait till the autumn until it gets a bit cooler and darker, and I want to run a BECME D&D basic expert campaign, and one of the modules I want to run is, just because it's just something from my youth, is Castle Caldwell. You'll notice all the dungeon tiles I've been making recently are all working their way to so I can lay that out in one go. I probably won't join the game, but if I need to I can lay the whole castle out in one go. But in the second part of the adventure, when we go down below, you'll see this room here, this big room here, has a load of coffins around it, and here it has a teleport circle. If I can quickly find the description, it is a decorated circle. It's inscribed on the floor, and what happens is, if you're a player, put your fingers in your ears for a few seconds. There was something in the room, I'll let you guess what, probably one of the coffins, you think, that when interacted with will trigger the circle, and for 30 seconds it will glow green. That inscribed circle will glow green. So thanks to Rob, we have an LED circle, so let's see if we can put that to use. But first, what we're going to have to do is get a bit techie with it. And what I mean by techie is we need to get some source code or software onto this. We need to install some stuff on our phone. I went through this with Rob and I took some notes, but hopefully if we can get him up to 100 subs and need more information on how to do it, we can get him to do a proper video on how to do that. This will be the Cliff Notes version of how to do it. Let's begin, shall we? First up, you're going to need the source code. So go to this website here, and again the link will be in the description, and download the code. Extract the source code to a folder somewhere. Next, you'll need something to open and compile the source code. So we're going to go to code.visualstudio.com and install Visual Studio Code. This is a fully featured IDE and it's free. Next, go to the WISP website and download the CP210X Universal Windows driver and install that. You're going to plug in the ESP32, which is the actual microcomputer bit, to the PC via USB, and if you look in your device manager under ports, COM and LPT section and look for USB to UART bridge, you got to find out what COM port it's on and make a note of it, as you'll need that in a bit. Next up, head over to VS Code and open the folder where you extracted the source code. In my case, it's this folder here in the WLED-master, and open it. You can tell it's the correct folder because it will have a platform.io.ini file in it. And once it's open, you're going to need to install an extension, so click on the Extensions tab and install Platform.io IDE. You should probably only need to do this once. Once you've got it installed, you won't need to worry again. Once that's installed, open PI at home and click Boards and search for ESP-32 and click plus for AZ delivery ESP-32 dev kit CV4. Next, open platform.io.ini in Visual Studio Code. In this, we're going to look for a code entry for single binaries section, and you're going to comment out all the default envs's except for ESP32 dev. Remember that COM port that you took a note of earlier? Find the entry upload_port and add that in here. Next up, click the check mark at the bottom here to build the code. Hopefully it builds okay with no errors. If it does, we're going to have to bug Rob to do a video, but he probably won't until he gets to 100 subs, so make that happen. If it built okay, click on the right arrow to upload it to the device, and we're pretty much done with the hard bit. Next up, open your app store on your phone and search for something called WLED Air Cookie. Once you've installed that, and you've got your ESP32 online, there is a config section you need to click on, go in and change the pins, how many pins and you got hooked. It's hooked up to. Mine is pin 2. Hopefully that makes sense. This is not my area of expertise. As I keep mentioning, if you need any more help, perhaps we can get Rob to do a video. With that installed, you can go in and you can do things like change the colour. So I got it red here, I hit blue, I can change it to blue, pink, and what have you. You can also change the brightness. This is a really nifty little tool, and it opens up possibilities of what we can do with it immensely. There's also there are effects that you can do with it and do weird and wonderful things. It feels overkill because all I'm going to do is get it to do something that just comes on and shines green. But perhaps I can design the next part so I can unplug the ESP32 to use in other projects, even if I need to get another set of LED lights to plug into it. And that's the plan, so let's get on with that plan. Okay, so my thought is there are loads of coffins in this room, so I can hide the ESP32 in a coffin. So I'm going to make that out of foam core with one side of the paper cut out, pulled off, and so I'm just using this to get a sort of rough measurement of how big the coffin's going to be. So that is what I'm doing here. I'm going to mark it off and cut this out. And so now I've got it sort of roughly marked out. Before I cut it out, I'm just going to measure it. So I've got a measurement because I need to make 9 more of these coffins for use elsewhere in the room. I'm going to take a bit of liberty with this room, and the actual LED ring light and one coffin is going to go on a raised platform. Once I've got that measured out properly, I'm just going to cut it out. And that will fit in nicely. Next, I'm going to try and do the same but with the platform. So I need to have it so it's big enough so I can fit the ring light in, but also the sarcophagus is going to sit on top of this. The sarcophagus that will hold and hide the ESP32. So I'm just playing around until I get a shape I'm happy. Once I've got that size, it's going to be, I want it to be a square, but it's going to have to be a rectangle. And I've kept the measurements in check with my dungeon tiles, so that means it's in grids of 1.25 inches rather than 1 inch. So I'm still just trying to play around. So I've cut that out, and when I cut it out I bent it slightly, but not to worry, that's going to go on the underside anyway. And I've ripped one side of the paper out, and that's going to get a good texturing using my texture ruler that we made in a previous video. And that's what it will look like when it's textured. Now I need to work out where the ring light's going to go. And so for that, I've So I've marked out a center point on this section of the board, and I'm just going to eyeball this, put the ring light roughly where I want it, so it is using that center mark as a guide. Draw around the outside and the inside, and this bit here that I'm just marking off, I need to cut out, gouge out. And the way I do that is just with a knife. I'm going to do it a quarter at a time. I'm just going to score around the inner and outer circle, and then I'm just going to do crisscross lines. Again, we're not going to go, this isn't cutting all the way through the foam core, it's leaving a mil, 2 mil at the bottom. I'm going to scoring using this, and then using the knife I should be able to get underneath and rip it out, and as you can see it's leaving a thin layer in the bottom. And now what I need to do is sort of house the wires, as it were. I'm going to put it in place where it'd go. I'm just going to draw around this bit here, not all the way, just a little tab. I'm going to cut that out, or gouge that out, in the same way I did the ring circle. So I'm going to score around the outside, crisscross lines, and then just tear it out. That will fit snugly in place, and with it turned on, this is in broad daylight, so it's not the best light to demonstrate this in. So if I turn the light off, you can see it shining through. I might need to do a bit more gouging out on this bit here to make it brighter there, but happy with that. And here is me just testing out the green to make sure, because certain colours might shine out better. So doing green, doing blue, back to green. That's working lovely. What I'm going to do now is just use a sculpting tool. I'm just going to smooth out the rough gouge bits just to make it fit more snugly in place. With that in place, I can work out where I need to cut holes to poke the wires through for the sarcophagus. I do make a mistake here, I cut the holes in the wrong place, because I forget when you flip it over the holes need to be on the opposite side, so these really will be on the opposite side where I've just marked them. So if you see in a future part of the video they jump to place, don't worry, that's what happened. And to cut them out, it's pretty much just poking a knife through, cutting holes all the way through this time. And once I feel I've cut them out enough, I just come in with a sculpting tool and push them through. So okay, I need to memorize where I've plugged the wires in, because this sort of thing I'm forgetting why I want to grow up here, but I'm flying solo, people. But yeah, I've poked the wires through, reattached them, and at all stages I just like double check that it works. Here's where I've realised I have put the holes in the wrong place, and so I'll sort that off camera because I'm an idiot. And here they are, like so. It gives me options to put wires in. That's my excuse. I should have just said that from the beginning. Make it more flexible. You would have seen I was lying. Let's get some sides on this thing. So you're going to need 2 long lengths that are the length of the platform, and 2 shorter bits that are the width of it minus a bit at the end here and a bit at the end there. That is the width of the foam core. In this case, this is 5mm foam core. The rare appearance of the hot glue gun, so I'm just going to glue these in place using that. I don't often use this very often, but for this it seemed appropriate. And once that's done, just go around and get rid of all the wispy bits and any glue that's squidged out. Just try and remove some of that. Next up, I can poke the wires through their holes. So I can put everything. So next I've got to make get the sarcophagus in place. With the board in place, I can begin to work out where the walls of the sarcophagus are going to go. What I want to be able to do is gain access to this, but what I'm going to do just for now, and I'll have to redo this later on, I just want to temporarily glue this in just so it doesn't move about that much. With all that in place, I can work out the walls of the sarcophagus. These are going to be ½ an inch high, but I just need to get the length and width of it so I can fit the ESP32 in there snugly, but at the same time get access to it so I can use it in other projects. Once I've got those cut out, I can just come in again with the hot glue gun and glue those together. With them glued together, I can glue that into place on the platform. So we've got our lid we made earlier on. I've just cut out of 1mm chipboard a top bit just to add a bit of visual interest to it, and it's almost the same size but like a couple of mil smaller all the way around. I'm going to score in a sort of, I don't know, some sort of writing pattern and symbols. This actually gets lost in the mix when I come to paint it, so I don't know whether I want to redo this or what, but for now that was my plan with this. And once that's done, I'm going to go over the chipboard with my texture roller just to add a bit of visual interest to it, and then I'm going to glue that in place, this time using my old favourite PVA. Now that's all done, I can do a little test fit just to see how it looks. Fits on there lovely. This won't be glued on because this is what I'll use to get inside the sarcophagus. I'm just going to do a test look at, see how it works. That's great, it works good. It won't happen in this video. I'm still going to power it via a USB lead, but in time I'm going to look into perhaps a USB power bank, little cigar shaped one of those just to use, so I don't have to have wires, power wires everywhere. And again, just having fun playing around with the app controlling the lights. But now what I need to do is make 9 more sarcophagi, some coffins. Now I don't need to get inside these, so I can just make these out of foam. And for these I'm just going to use white foam, white packing foam. So I'm just going to cut some that are the same width as the housing we just made, so that's like 1.25 inches. My cutter just cut long strips 1.25 inches wide. And yeah, got a new cat if you saw the video. Yeah, so this is how close I was to finishing this. He's here, this is Elvis. Back to work. So yeah, this foam I'm using was like 1 inch thick. I needed to make it, or 3/4 inch thick actually. I needed to make it 1 inch thick to match the existing housing coffin. So I've just cutting this down to make it sure it's 1 inch thick, ½ an inch thick. The only thick person here is me. Once that's all done, I'm going to cut it down to lengths, which is the same length as the housing coffin, just under 2 inches. And now I can glue the lids to this. The lids, I've made 9 more of these as we saw earlier. I'm just going to glue those in place. And then we'll have 9 coffins. Now we've just got to paint them all. I'm going to get my trusty bit of card here, just so this sounds weird. I like keeping my Mac as paint free as possible. And we're going to use a combination of Mod Podge and black paint. What I'm going to do over the actual circle is water that down ever so slightly, because I don't want the paint obstructing the LED shining through. And then for the rest of it, I'm just going to Mod Podge and black paint it all. The coffins get the same covering of Mod Podge and black. One thing I forgot was how to get access to the platform. So whilst that's drying, I'm just going to quickly come in and make a set of stairs. I'm going to cut out a set of stairs from the foam, and I'm going to need 2 of these because I want the stairs to be 2 inches wide. So once I've cut out one, I can cut out another one by tracing round and cutting out. Once they're both cut out, I can glue them together. On top of the stairs, I want a step, a stone step. So I'm just going to make that out of 6mm XPS foam. I'm just going to eyeball it and cut it. 3 of them and texture them with the texture roller. Once they're textured, they can be glued into place. Now onto the painting. I'm going to use the sponge dab technique. I've used this before on projects. This is just a off-cut bit of sponge dabbed into the paint, and you can tap off the excess or wipe off the excess and just dab that over the surface, and it gives you a nice sort of stone effect. Going to do the same for the main platform. Just dab this grey on. It's like a mid-tone grey, Codex grey in Games Workshop terms. I'm going to come in with a lighter grey. This one's called Urban Grey, and repeat the technique. Bit of paint on it, wipe off the excess, dab it on. One thing I forgot, and I should have done this earlier on, is the inscribed part of the circle. This had been easier to have done before I started painting it and before I got it all in place, but ho hum. So I've turned it on. I just need to roughly work out where I think the circle is, and then using those marks I can unplug all the ring light, put it on the top and draw around it with a marker pen, because I need to do a sort of magical inscribed pattern here. Now I've got that marked out, I'm going to come in with some black paint and just paint round to thicken that line up. Then I'm going to paint some magic symbol things around it. Now to get them all evenly spaced out, I'm going to draw 4 at the top, bottom and sides, then at the diagonal poles, and then I can utilise those positions to put one either side, so I've got them evenly spaced out. And that's what it looks like now with it all in place. So feel a little almost another mini disaster avoided. So yeah, that looks cool. Back to our usual programming. It's the wash. I'm just going to do a black wash over all the pieces: the coffin, the platform, the lid and the stairs. With the wash applied and drying on the platform, that is the actual build complete. I'm going to have a look at it in a moment, but I'd like to take this time to say thanks for watching. Head over to RM Project UK and have a sub to his channel, get him to 100 subs. Let's get him to build more stuff and do more videos for the channel and get the terrain project looking a bit interesting, shall we? That'd be great if you can do that for me. But thank you for watching. Until the next video, stay safe, take care, and let's have a look at this all set up. Whilst exploring a strange castle, our heroes stepped on a circle of power and ended up in this room with no signs of windows or doors, only 10 sarcophagus and a raised platform with a similar circle inscribed upon the floor. One of these coffins must contain the trigger to activate this circle of power, the wizard says. We must examine each of these coffins. must be this one, says the barbarian. It's obvious, isn't it? No, wait, shouts the wizard. It can't be that simple. And indeed it's not. Inside the coffin is a wight. Well, now we must deal with this threat, says the elf. They continue to search each of the stone sarcophagi, till they come to the last one. Well, it must be this, says the barbarian. Let's give it a try. As they pull back the lid, the lights flip out, and indeed the circle lights up green. Quick, we must hurry. It will only last a few seconds. They step upon the circle of power, and then there is a sound, and they disappear, escaping the chamber.